Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special bonus video here on the YouTube channel. I'm your host, as always, Scott E, and you can probably tell by my voice that I am sick, but uh, the show must go on. I wanted to make sure to get up a video this week after missing last week. That's life. Um, had some plans for a really cool video this week, fell through, but it will come to be. If you saw my post on the channel, you know what's coming up. A lot of new series, a lot of new content, a lot of stuff that I'm looking forward to doing. But with us being just a few days away from the 5-star Grand Prix participant reveal on Saturday, I thought it'd be fun to try and predict those very participants here with a short video. Um, because I think that's a fun idea. I want to see how wrong I end up being, but I also want to give an idea of who I think truly will enter this tournament. Because as we know, it's going to look very different this year. Shuri will not be in it. Micah will not be in it. Mayu Utani will not be in it. Tam Nakano will not be in it. Those are four massive participants missing from the tournament. Um, as I said on Twitter this week with the reveal that Shuri will not be in the tournament, I think there is a discussion to be had that the three most consistent competitors of the 5-star Grand Prix over the past 5 years or so are now all out. Shuri, Mayu, and Tam will not be in it, and that creates openings for new wrestlers. So I have put together 28 potential participants for this year's tournament. I have some reasoning behind some, others are just, kind of layups and so on. And I'll save the new participants, the first time entries, for the end of the predictions. Like I said, this is not going to be a long video, but I wanted to put something together. I want to thank all of you for the continued support. If you haven't checked it out, check out this past week's podcast. We reviewed Stardom the Conversion, talked about Saree's greatness, Aroha versus Hazuki, which we'll be reviewing this week on the 5-star. That'll be out on Friday, as always. But with that being said, let's get into it. Let's get into what I think the 2025 5-star Grand Prix will look like with my overall predictions for the field. So I wanted to set the stage of what the tournament looked like last year. If you forgot, last year it was put into 4 blocks with 28 people, 7 per block, separated by the champions Micah, Sariano, Mayu Utani, and Sue Suzuki. At the time of the announcements, it was, of course, the World of Stardom champion, Wonder of Stardom champion, IWGP Women's title winner, and the previous year's tournament winner. So that kind of set the stage for what ended up also being announced. Now, to remind you as well, obviously I don't have the full complete field here, but I will say that once Natsuko Tora won the World of Stardom Championship, she took herself out of the tournament and instead Ruaka replaced her. So I think that is an important aspect of this as well as we go through this. And you'll kind of see where I start off and why I think that's very important. But I just wanted to highlight this aspect of the tournament because in previous years, of course, we did have 2 blocks back in 2023. Obviously, that was the tournament where injuries really unfortunately added up, but what a field it was. And of course, in 2022, it was a super packed field with um, 12 competitors per. Oh, sorry, it was 13 competitors per block, which was a lot, 26, but 2 blocks. So I don't think we are going back to the 2 blocks, but I would love to see it. I'd love to see it, but I'm going to treat this as if it is the full 28 once again, because believe it or not, despite Shuri being out, Tam, Micah, Mayu, there's still plenty of names to fill this tournament. So with that being said, let's go and let's predict the 2025 5-star Grand Prix field. And it all starts with a very important choice. And that, of course, is Saya Kamatani. I put her first for many reasons. One, obviously, she is Saya Kamatani. She is the talk of the joshi world, talk of Japanese pro wrestling, I'd even argue. It is imperative this year. It is super, super important to get the World of Stardom champion back into the tournament. I think that was part of the problems of what I found a oddly booked, at times poorly booked, five-star Grand Prix last year. The champion should be in the tournament, especially when it's someone like Saya Kamatani, who, if there was ever going to have a champion win a tournament, would it be that shocking if the current iteration of Saya Kamatani was the one to do that? No, I don't think so. So I think she is on automatic lock. That's one. So you'll count along with me. And with that, we go to the next champion. And I thought, let's make it easy. Let's do four. Starlight Kid, Azumi, Mei Sarah, Miyu Amasaki, all of Neo Genesis should be re-entering this year's five-star Grand Prix with ease. Obviously, they all have championships as of this recording, so that's also an important part of it. Starlight Kid will enter as an interesting option. Obviously, she is likely to defend the Wonder Stardom Championship here shortly, whether that be against Seriano or not. We'll wait to be seen, but she is someone that I think many have circled as a potential big time opponent for Saya Kamatani, and that's why I point to her. The other three obviously speak for themselves, all champions, all great options, and that brings us to five tournament participants in my predictions. The next two, we continue down the championship road here, and that is, of course, putting in Hanan and Saya Ida. Currently the Goddesses of Stardom champions. Hanan, I think, going into this tournament as a heavy favorite to win the entire thing. We'll talk about that more when we preview this tournament here in a few weeks. But these two are locks. And Saida was one of the MVPs of last year. Hanan will now enter the tournament with a chip on her shoulder. Obviously, if she's a favorite, someone you're going to want to look out for, see if she can really step it up here in this tournament. But these two should be absolute locks as well. So that brings us to seven for those counting. Suzuki, former five-star Grand Prix winner, obviously the leader of Mi Vida Loca. I think it's imperative as well that she is not only in this tournament, but goes far in this tournament. If you want to continue to reestablish Mi Vida Loca or reestablish Suzuki as the leader of not only Mi Vida Loca, but as one of the top stars in Stardom, she has to have a strong tournament. Assuming we go back to the bracket at the end, once again, she should be a part of that. Suzuki is my eighth predicted part of this tournament. Then we go over to Natsu and Saori, Natsupoi and Sareee Ano. I think both of them are real options to win the tournament this year. I'll give my predictions and all that, like I said, of who I do think will win. But even with Natsupoi challenging Saya Kamatani for the World of Stardom Championship at the Sapporo Rendezvous show, I don't think it's fair to consider her completely out of the running. We saw it last year. Micah may have lost the World of Stardom Championship right before at that same very show, but then she won the five-star Grand Prix. I will not count out Natsupoi, nor will I count out Sareee Ano, someone who is obviously a good option to potentially challenge Saya Kamatani for the World of Stardom Championship somewhere in the future. These two are obviously great options, and it also brings us to nine participants predicted thus far. Next up is a classic, probably based on the top of my head, now the longest running tournament wrestler for the five-star Grand Prix, and that is Momo Watanabe. Momo Watanabe thankfully made her return from injury earlier this year. Well, earlier in June. Of course, we're in July now. But her coming back at the right time, she is someone that I think many people would love to see win the five-star and create a story between her and Saya Kamatani, myself being one of them. If you were going to go down the story route, she, I think, is the best case scenario. I look forward to her tournament every single year. She always has one of the best tournaments, no matter who she faces and so on. This year, I hope she has a lot better luck. She had a lot of losses last year. I think she only ended up having 2 wins. Let's change her hopes here. She should be a lock for the final few, in my opinion, but we'll see if that ends up being the case. Then we have Konami. We continue down the hate train here. I don't see Konami missing this tournament, especially in a tournament of 28. Now, if we were to go down to 20, which I was originally going to predict, um, Konami could be an option to miss, but I don't see that happening. I think they more likely put her in than keep her out. Obviously, a key part of the hate fold, and potentially could be a Artist of Stardom champion by the time the tournament rolls around. Ami Sareee, another early favorite as we are just less than a month away from the 5-star Grand Prix. Her return at Stardom, the conversion, of course, was face to face with Saya Kamatani, and they had a very important face off that I will not be forgetting when it comes to predicting who wins this tournament. I think she's an obvious lock, especially with Shuri no longer in the tournament, will not be representing God's Eye. She is now the undeniable leader of what is remaining, and she is a big time possibility to go far. After missing last year's tournament due to the ACL injury, I do think she's going to go very, very far no matter what in the 2025 edition. Tomoki Inaba. Tomoki Inaba will return to the tournament here this year, in my opinion, and rightfully so. She was a part of that fantastic block last year that involved Mayu Utani, Meisera, Azumi, Momo Watanabe, Tam Nakano, Saida, and Tomoki Inaba, right? When that block came out, everyone said, oh, this is the one, and it delivered. She was a great part of it. I'd love to see her in a block with Starlight Kid, potentially get a win against Starlight Kid and set up a Wonder of Stardom Championship match, one that we've really been teasing all of this year, but haven't gone to. I'd love to see her sister in it, but I think they'll keep her out for another year or two. So Tomoka, let's go. Let's go get that win against Starlight Kid. Then we have Rani Yagami, who will be a returnee. I think it would be shocking if Rani Yagami wasn't in it after filling in for Ami Sourei last year. She feels like a ideal returnee. Obviously going to be in lower on one of the blocks, but I definitely think she will still find her way into this year's tournament. I also think Ruaka will make a return. Obviously, she was not originally in it. She had cheated in the play-in and had not made it into the tournament. Now, I don't know if we're gonna have play-ins again this year, obviously, as I predict this, but I do think she will get the spot rather than her tag team partner Natsuko Tora, who I am predicting not to be in this tournament. I think there's a reason she wasn't in the tournament last year. It's to preserve her. I think there's a good chance that Ruaka and Natsuko could enter 5-star Grand Prix season as the Goddesses of Stardom champions. So even more so, I think Ruaka would have to be in if that's the case. Saki Kashima, the ultimate spoiler of the tournament. She has been that way for years now, and I expect that to continue here this year. Obviously, again, with representation for God's Eye, not including Shuri, I think Saki Kashima getting in feels like a guarantee. But we'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if she missed it either, because she has missed it before. Um, but she is someone to serve as a spoiler more than anything else. And out of a 28 person field, I think she gets in. If it's down to 24 or 20, though, I could see her definitely be one of the ones to miss out. I know a lot of people are worried about the idea of Hazuki potentially also missing this year's tournament. I will not be having that. I will not be believing that. I firmly believe Hazuki will be in this year's tournament. She has to be in this year's tournament. You're losing out on too many guarantees of the top tier match of the tournament wrestlers, right? Again, Tam, Mayu, Shuri, all out of this year's tournament. That's kind of their ballpark. Hazuki's right behind them every single year in that ballpark. I think Hazuki's got to be in it. Otherwise, this tournament's going to take a serious hit. If it's a field of 20, though, I will start to worry a little bit. But we're predicting for 28, I need Hazuki in there. I know a lot of others need Hazuki in there. You probably were counting along with how I was predicting, where's Hazuki, where's Hazuki? Don't you worry. I firmly believe that if this tournament is at least 28 people, she will be in there. If it's 20, she should be too, but we'll wait and see. You know my thoughts on Hazuki and Koguma on FWC, and they should be doing more. Hopefully, a tournament run could be part of that. Speaking of Koguma, if Hazuki's in, Koguma's in. That's kind of my mindset here. Um, Out of the returnee options, I feel like these two somehow oddly are on the brink, rather than a Rana or a Ruaka somehow, which is pretty crazy to me to think out loud. But like I said, if there's going to be a tournament, if you're going to put a tournament together, put two of the best wrestlers in the company in the damn tournament. They are part of your company. There's no reason not to have them in. So I do think Hazuki and Koguma are both going to be in if one of them's in. Now we get to the new wrestlers on the field that I believe are going to get into this year's tournament, starting with Hanako. Hanako, of course, challenged for the Wonder of Stardom Championship last month against Starlight Kid. I don't think that was really a shock to anyone. With limited representation for EXV, she feels like the obvious fill-in for them, especially with Micah out of action. I'd be genuinely shocked if Hanako wasn't in this tournament. She is my first pick of new entries into this year's field. And of course, Bozilla. Bozilla officially joined the company here at Stardom the Conversion. She competed in last year's Dreamstar Grand Prix as part of Marigold, had a very solid run that ultimately ended with her pinning Sareee on the final night. She'd be a fascinating one to book. It would be a interesting one to follow, of course, for the Stardom booking team. But I think the fact that they brought her in tells me she's got to be in the tournament. If she's not, I'll be stunned. But they did the same with Megan Bain a few years ago, so you never know. But I think Bozilla has to be part of the field because you want to establish her. You want her to do some big things here. That's why you brought her in. She's got to be a part of the field of 28. Three entries here. Yuna Mizumori is not a new entry, but hey, the picture was cool. But Yuna Mizumori, I do expect to return to the tournament. She was a highlight, I thought, in many of her matches last year. And then, of course, two new entries come in the form of the Cosmic Angels, young Kozin themselves, Aya Sakura and Sayaka Karara. I think those two have to be in this year's tournament, right? You're trying to reestablish a new vision for Cosmic Angels. Aya Sakura and Sayaka Karara have obviously been pushed to the forefront. Carrara, especially, she is the Cinderella tournament winner after all. If she wasn't in it, that'd be a real shock. So I love to see them both in it and grow throughout this tournament. Yuna Mizumori, that's someone you can count on night in and night out to give you a really good match. All three of them should absolutely be in. My most favorite, exciting first time Stardom member to join the tournament field. That, of course, is Rena. We've kind of been counting down, right? When will Rena enter the 5-star Grand Prix? She showed last year she was capable of doing something like this. They kept her out despite being the longest reigning future Stardom champion, the new blood tag team champion. This year, she's become undeniable. You can't keep her out any longer. That Wonder of Stardom Championship match against Starlight Kid was one of my favorite matches of the year. I believe it's still number 2, truthfully. It was truly tremendous, an emotional match, a fantastic match. The time is now for Rena. The time is absolutely now for Rena. She is one of the most exciting entrants into this year's tournaments, just to see how she does, see if she can continue to step up and make others step aside. You want to set her up in some big matches to prove herself further? Sure, absolutely. She has had one of the best years in all of wrestling. Truly mean that. I not only need her in this tournament, but I want her to have a strong performance in this tournament. Rena is the future of this industry, of this company. So I'm very excited for this to be her very first tournament. She is a lock, whether it's 28, 24, or 20. She's got to be in. And I know you were all waiting for this one, but I do believe that Sareee will be in this year's tournament. She needs to be in this year's tournament. Plain and simple. No Shuri, no Mayu, no Micah, no Tam. That's a lot of greatness out of this year's tournament. Bring in the Sun God, bring in the best in the world, bring in the IWGP Women's Championship. She has already said it publicly. I want to be in that tournament. I want to prove I am the ace of women's wrestling. I want to prove I am the best. Get her in that tournament, especially if it's 4 blocks. It's pretty easy to work your way into having her lose one match along the way. Get Sareee in this tournament. You can have something truly, truly special. She was incredible last year in the Dream Star Grand Prix for Marigold as the reigning Marigold World Champion. She lifted wrestlers up. She had some of the best matches in the tournament. That's what she can do for this year's tournament. That's what she will do for this year's tournament. Sareee needs to be in this tournament. I can't stress that enough. I can't. With no Shuri, like, you gotta get Sareee in this. There's no reason for her not to. High profile name, set up the potential of Sareee running through the roster. It's a story in itself. The roster trying to stop her from reaching another top point in the company. Come on. You gotta do that. You have to do that. Sareee is a must. Obviously, coming from me, that's no shock, but she is a must. She needs to be in this tournament. I am predicting she will be in this tournament. I am predicting she will go far in this tournament. I need it. I need it. I also predict a Sendai Girls wrestler will once again enter this year's tournament. This is number 27 for those who haven't been counting. Last year, Manami entered the tournament. I wouldn't be shocked if she entered again. Maybe Eureka Oka this time around. That wouldn't shock me either. Maybe we get shocked with Amika Wada. Hey, Miyuki Takase just joined the company. Why not her? There are multiple options here, but I want Sendai Girls to send another wrestler in. I think that's very important. I think it's an important part of the partnership that they've really created and continued with. Dash Osaka would obviously be amazing. Hashimoto would obviously be amazing, but I am a realist. I know what's happening here. That's not happening. I'd love to see Manami get back in there. I think it helped her grow a lot last year, and I think she would do it again. So Sendai Girls representation. And then for number 28, I expect representation from All Elite Wrestling once again. As we know, last year, Anna Jay was the representation for the company. That has gone however it's gone. That is not for me to debate. That is whatever. She did a fine job. I'd love to see Xena back, by the way. I don't think she's going to be back, so that's why I didn't name her name, but that'd be a hell of a surprise. But when it comes to AEW talent, I think these are your main options that I'd like to see in there. When it comes to the potential options, obviously, I'd love the Chris Statlanders or Willow Nightingales to be in there, but I am a realist. I understand that's very unlikely. So I will toss forward a Queen Aminata. I think that would be very cool. Maybe Riho out of nowhere. That would be a pretty cool shock, wouldn't it? Ty Mello, maybe. I know she's a mom now, but she seems very interested in continuing to wrestle in Japan. But the big name that I have that I think could be in this tournament to represent AEW is none other than Billy Starks. That's kind of the name that's been jumping out to me so far. But I expect some form of AEW representation, especially with the idea that Shuri might be going on an excursion after her short break, which I would assume is to AEW for Forbidden Door build. We'll talk about that more on Friday. But that is my field of 28 here, everyone. Like I said, short video. I'm still very sick. I'm still dealing with it. Got to record again for Friday. So I appreciate everyone that listened to this. Make sure you can keep track of how many I get right, how many I get wrong. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right. I honestly, I just hope Rita and Sareee and everyone else. We'll see. But those are the two main ones that I want to see it. But hey, make sure to tell me who you want to be in this tournament. Who are you? Leave a comment below. Let me know who you need to be in this tournament. Not want, who do you from you maybe you're just your favorites. Who do you need to be in this tournament, whether it be outsiders, someone on the roster, lady seat, like all these different options. If there's a field of 28, 24, 20, whatever it may be, let me know. Also, tell me what kind of field do you want this? Do you want it back to 2 blocks like me, or do you want it to stay at the 4 blocks like they did last year? Let me know. Please, please, please. I love hearing from all of you. So leave a comment below. Also, leave a like so this kind of jumps around. This is a short term video. This isn't going to have a lot of life to it. Really, just 2 days. But hey, that's okay. Next week, we're going to have the beginner's guide out for Marigold. So if you're interested in jumping in right ahead of the Dreamstar Grand Prix, it's going to be a great time to do that. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Let me know how wrong I was literally on Saturday if you want. That's okay. I appreciate it. All love here. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate you listening. I'll see you again on Friday. So long. Bye bye.